this video, I'm going to share the exact scriptwriting framework I've used to generate over 7 million views for educational channels like Sara Finance, Davie Fogarty, and VidIQ. This framework has helped me consistently outperform my clients' average video view count and get results like this, and this. So if you run an educational channel where you teach people something, this might be the most valuable scriptwriting video that you've ever watched, because we're going to be covering things like how to perform deep audience research in just 10 minutes using my AI research method, how to write powerful hooks with easy to follow formulas, plus the psychology behind why they work, the simple video structure I use that gets me 60% retention and will cut your scriptwriting time in half, my 2-step process to turn you into a storytelling master, and finally, how to put your audience into something called a binge loop to boost your average view duration and keep people on your channel. But just before I reveal all the source, I want to introduce myself. So my name's Eli, I'm 27 years old and I live on the beautiful east coast of Australia. Just a normal, average Aussie dude who became obsessed with persuasive writing, and the last 18 months have worked with some of the biggest educational YouTubers on the platform. On this channel, there's not going to be any crazy ADH editing or anything like that, so if you need fast cuts to keep your attention, then this content is probably not going to be for you. But what there will be is real and honest value on how I've produced some of the best performing videos for educational YouTubers. But enough babbling about me, lass uns gehen. So the first part to writing a powerful script is research, and there are 2 important types of research that you need to understand. Number 1 is audience research, and number 2 is video content research. So let's kick things off with audience research. Now, 99% of creators don't understand this, but audience research is by far the most important part of the scriptwriting process, and let me explain why. Basically, if you don't know exactly what pains, desires, dreams, and goals your audience has, then your channel doesn't stand a chance in being successful. This is because ultimately the success of your videos boils down to how well your audience satisfies the needs and desires of your audience. Iman Gadzhi is a perfect example. Everyone's trying to figure out why he blew up. This is my opinion. I believe his channel exploded because he knows exactly who his target audience is. He knows what video topics, what hooks, and what content will get their attention and keep them engaged. So when he creates a new video, the audience feels like Iman gets them and they cannot help but keep watching. But I get it. Research isn't sexy. It can be long, hard, and boring, and chances are most of you probably don't even know where to start. But what if I told you I have a powerful AI research method that will help you perform audience research in just 10 minutes? Basically, it's a bot that you can create using AI that will help answer any question you have about your target audience. So let me show you how it works. All right, so what I want you to do is come over to YouTube and now search your top 3 competitors. So for example, let's just say that I was starting a YouTube education channel. So I would just search how to start a YouTube channel. And what I'm looking for is the top creators in the YouTube education space. So for example, you can see we got VidIQ. So I'm going to open that in a new tab. Then we have Think Media. They're another big one in the space. Then once you have the 3 competitors, I want you to come over to Google and you want to type in Glasp Chrome extension. So this is the tool that's going to allow you to transcribe the videos in about 2 seconds. So yeah, it's called Glasp. Just go through, download it. It's pretty simple. So then once you have Glasp installed, I'm going to show you how to use that in a second. Basically, what you want to do is you want to sort by the most popular videos. And you're looking for videos generally within the last year. Anything older than that can kind of screw up the data. So once you've found one of the videos that have gone viral in the last year, one of their most popular videos, you just want to click on that. And then if you've installed Glasp correctly, you can scroll down here, and here you're going to get a transcript summary of the entire script, right? So then you want to copy that. Then you want to come over to an AI tool called Claude. Honestly, only donkeys use ChatGPT anymore. It is terrible for writing. Once you start using Claude, you're going to bow to me because this is by far the best writing AI tool that there is on the market right now. And it's absolutely insane. So once we've copied the transcript from Glasp, we just literally want to say, read these transcripts. And then we just copy and paste each transcript. Then we do the same for Think Media. We scroll down. We find one of their most viral videos in the last year, just like this one right here. Scroll down and copy the transcript again, paste it over to Claude. Then we do the same again for Yuri. Here we go, 1 year ago. And we can copy and paste the last transcripts. So now we have 3 viral transcripts from top competitors in our niche. Normally I'd do 3 for each channel, but for this example, I'm just going to do 1. Now Claude has read through all these transcripts. We can literally ask it any question about the audience that we're trying to target. For example, let's say we want to find out what are the biggest pain points that this audience is experiencing. And as you can see, you're going to get a whole list of all the deep burning pain points that this audience is experiencing, which obviously that you can then use for your own videos. You can ask, what topics were spoken about in these videos, and then you can use them in your own videos. I would demonstrate this and show you a little bit more, but I've ran out of messages because I've absolutely been hammering Claude this morning for my own scripts. So yeah, sorry about that. But I think you get the idea. Like, this is an absolute game changer when it comes to research. It used to take hours to do this type of research. You can literally do it in just a few minutes by following the process that I've just outlined. But if you're thinking, well, this is great, but what do I do with all this research? Don't worry, I'm going to explain very soon. But first, let's talk about why video content research is the second most important part of the script writing process. Now that you know who your audience is and what they care about, it's time to find content that will keep them engaged. We do this by finding topics that are new, fresh, and valuable to your audience. This is because nothing kills video retention like boring and repeated information. For example, when ChatGPT first came out, chances are you would have been happy to watch a video like this. It's 30 minutes long. It's a tutorial on how to use ChatGPT, but you'd never watch a video on that now because chances are you already know how ChatGPT works. And it's the same for your videos. If you're not presenting new and exciting information that your audience is interested in, they're not going to stick around. But this leaves us with a big question. How do you find exciting and interesting topics to put in your videos that also satisfy the pains and desires of your audience? Alrighty, so to perform video topic research, what I do is I go back to YouTube and I search the topic of the video that I plan on create. So again, for this example, I'm just going to say that I'm creating a video about how to start a YouTube channel. So basically what you want to do is you want to go through and then find the top 3 performing videos in the last 12 months. So once you've got them opened up, then what you want to do is you want to come over here and run your cursor along the timeline of the video. And as you can see, there's these little bumps. And what these indicate is where people have either gone back and replayed the video, and it indicates that this particular part of the video or whatever they're speaking about is where people are the most engaged. Then what you want to do is you want to go to these most viewed parts and you want to click on them and find out what they're actually talking about in this particular section. Then what you want to do is you want to come back over to your Google Doc and you want to write down what they were talking about. Then what you want to do is you want to note down each of these little bumps in your Google Doc and make a list of all the potential topic ideas that you could have for your video. And the best part is these are all going to be verified ideas. Your audience has already proven that they're interested in these, which is going to help you increase the retention of your videos. Then the next part is to come to the comment section and you want to look for comments of feedback or things that people really liked, and you want to also note them down. This comment is a great example because this guy says that, internet historian, he's only uploaded 8 videos per year. But his quality editing and storytelling is top notch and he has 4 million subscribers. So we know that, the audience really likes the idea of quality editing and storytelling over upload frequency. So that could be a really great topic that then you could talk about in one of your videos. So then you want to go back over to your document, note that down, and then continue to just go through the comments of every video that you've found and kind of look for these feedbacks of negative comments. Negative comments are really good because it kind of tells you what the audience doesn't want to hear. And then obviously you have good comments, which then could turn into your potential topic ideas that the audience is obviously interested in hearing. Then once you have a list and you've gone through every single one of the viral videos and you've broken down the most played parts and also the comments, then you want to come over and just write the top 3 to 5 points that you can put in your video. Just one really last important point on this is once you've found your 3 to 5 topic points, you want to make sure that you're not just copying what the other people are saying in the video. You have to find your own way to either go deeper on the topic or find some sort of unique angle. Because obviously, if you're just repeating what other people have already said in the videos, you're going to bore your audience and they're probably going to not want to keep listening. So just make sure that you add your own unique twist so that it's fresh and new for your audience. Okay, now that you have all this research, now let's talk about how to organize it into a compelling video, which leads me to the next part of this course, which is your script structure. But more specifically, I'm going to be talking about my retention boosting video framework, which is the structure that helps me get 60% retention from my clients, has helped me cut my script writing time in half, and has generated over 7 million views. Basically, before I discovered this framework, I'd have all this research in front of me like you do right now, but no real understanding on how to organize it into a compelling video. And it could take me 30 plus hours to write a single YouTube script, and that's not an over exaggeration. Basically, I'd start and then I'd get lost midway through, realize sections weren't connecting, and I'd have to start all over again. But then Ali Abdul's ex-YouTube manager, guy named Jamie Whiffen, go check him out on Twitter, awesome dude, he shared with me a powerful way to structure my scripts, and it's revolutionized everything. It's cut my script writing time in half, and it's the first thing I plan out before I write a drop of ink. And I guarantee that if you learn and implement this framework, it will not only make your scripts easier to write, but it's also going to dramatically help boost your attention. So it's comprised of these 4 simple parts. So we have the intro and hook. You're already familiar with this, but soon I'm going to share some really powerful frameworks on how to make your hook writing super easy. Then we have the body of the script where we talk about the topics of your video. And then for each topic, I like to break them down into 3 parts that help boost retention. And they are the ReHook, the story, and the lesson. And I'm going to explain how each one of these work with real examples in a minute. Before we dive into the body section, let's start with what you've all been waiting for, which is how to write the perfect hook. Now, you might have heard of basic things like confirming your title and thumbnail in your hook, or cookie cutter frameworks like asking an interesting question. And look, both of these are important. In fact, like I said, in a moment, I'm going to share some really powerful hook frameworks with you in just a second. But the problem with only learning cosmetic hacks like this is that you're eventually going to sound like every other creator and your hooks become repetitive. When my goal is to make you the best damn scriptwriter in your niche, so you outshine all your competitors and get all the views. But the only way you're going to be able to do this is to learn the psychology behind the frameworks first, so that you can add your own unique flair to them, your own pizzazz, so that you stand out. So let's start there, the psychology behind a great hook. In the YouTube education space, basically all great hooks can be broken down into 2 parts. Number 1, you have calling out an audience problem, and number 2 is promising a unique solution. So to give you an example, let's break down one of Ayman Gadzhi's most viral video hooks to make this more clear. So let me read the hook first, and then let's go through it together line by line. So ladies and gentlemen, absolutely everyone wants to know how to make $10,000 a month as a student. The only issue is there's a lot of BS out there. There's a lot of misinformation, and there's a lot of people making it seem a lot easier than it actually is. So in today's video, I'm going to break down the 3 main components you need to focus on in order to make $10,000 a month as a student. So in this line here, what Ayman's doing is he's calling out a desire the audience wants. He's saying, hey, everyone wants to know how to make $10,000 a month, which is exactly what his audience wants, right? So this gets their attention because it's something that they fantasize about. Then by saying there's a lot of misinformation out there, he's basically inserting a problem that the audience has to now overcome if they want to make $10,000 a month. And what this does is it sets up the rest of the video as the solution to the problem and the key to making 10K per month as a student. Then finally, in the last line, he promises a unique solution to the problem that he's just brought up, making them have to watch the rest of the video if they want their problem solved. And now let's talk a little bit about why the combination of these 2 principles are so powerful so that you can create hooks just like this. When one of our burning problems are called out, our brain is naturally wired to pay attention. This is because we are programmed to focus on information that could potentially solve our problems. This has been the case since we were cavemans, and it's forever going to be the same until the end of time. And this is why, like I shared earlier, that it's so important to understand the pains and desires of your audience, because the more painful problems that you're calling out, the more your audience is going to pay attention. But just grabbing attention isn't enough. We then need to learn how to drive up curiosity so that they want to watch your entire video. After our problems have been tapped into, we are now eager for a solution. So when you tease a solution in your hook, just like Ayman Gadzhi did, what this does is it drives up curiosity and makes you want to know the answer. But now let's look at another example from Mark Tilbury to really drive this point home. So again, let me just read the hook and then let's break it down line for line. If you spend $5 on a morning coffee on your way to work, $15 on a nice lunch from the food truck, $4 on overpriced transport, $2 on a sweet treat, and $1.40 on unwanted subscriptions every day, then that's the same as spending $10,000 every single year. This is the reality for most people. As soon as they get paid, the money just seems to disappear. And that's because they don't have a paycheck routine. Notice how this big chunk of text is simply calling out a big problem for the audience, which is that their money seems to just disappear. This is a super relatable problem and his audience would definitely be experiencing this. Then in this one simple sentence, he's basically just promising to solve the problem that he's created with a paycheck routine. This drives up curiosity, making the audience go, what the hell is a paycheck routine? And now they have to keep watching the video if they want the answer. You see, the secret to creating great hooks is to simply target the deepest and most burning pain point around your video topic and then promise and tease a brand new and unique solution that gets your audience excited. So now that you know the psychology behind a great hook, let's take a look at some powerful frameworks so you can put this all together. Okay, so we're going to start with the PASS copywriting framework. And this is one of my favorite frameworks. It's generated millions of views for my clients. So basically how it works is we're going to start by calling out the burning pain point. This is the problem. Then we're going to agitate the pain point. This is to stir up emotion around the pain point. And then we're going to tease a unique solution, which is the S part of the PASS framework. So let's run through an example together. So again, I'm just going to read through it and then we can break it down line for line. So if you're struggling with how to write a viral YouTube script and you're feeling overwhelmed with where to even start, then I have some exciting news. I've discovered a simple 7-step framework that's helped me to produce over 7 million views and multiple 1 out of 10s for my clients. So in this first line here, the problem that I'm calling out is how to write a viral YouTube script. So if let's just say I'm targeting my audience, which is you guys, you want to know how to write a viral YouTube script. Then I'm going to agitate the emotions around the pain point. So chances are you guys are probably feeling overwhelmed with where to even start when it comes to writing YouTube scripts. So I've agitated that there, right? Then I'm promising and teasing a solution to the problem that I've just brought up, which is, hey, I've got a simple 7-step framework that's helped me to produce over 7 million views. This is obviously things that you guys desire and want to do yourself. So you can see what we're doing here, right? We're simply just calling out a problem, write a viral YouTube script, agitating the emotions around the pain point, which is feeling overwhelmed with where to even start. And then we're promising a unique solution, which is my simple 7-step framework that's helped me to produce over 7 million views. So that's the PASS copywriting framework. It's extremely powerful. Now let's talk about another one of my favorite frameworks, which is a adaptation of the AIDA copywriting framework. So I call this the AID framework. Let me explain how it works. So basically the AID framework, we start with a burning question to grab attention. Then again, we tease a unique solution to pique interest. Then we promise a result to increase desire, but then we delay the solution to make them want to continue to watch. So again, let's run through an example. Have you ever wondered why plain, boring thumbnails like this sometimes generate millions of views? You might have heard of people say things like, well, it's because it's simple and easy to understand. But what if I told you it's got nothing to do with simplicity and it's actually caused by something called a curiosity gap? And once you understand how to create them, you'll notice a massive increase in your click-through rate and views on every single video you post. But just before I reveal how it works, I want to start with explaining. All right, so let's go through it. So as you can see in this line here, curiosity question. Have you ever wondered why? So basically this line grabs attention because we're asking something called an unanswered question. This is a special type of question that grabs attention because there's no obvious answer. This sparks curiosity and makes the audience wonder what the hell is the answer. But if we said something like, have you ever wondered why when you drop a ball, it falls to the ground? People are probably not going to pay attention because it doesn't spark curiosity because the answer is pretty obvious. It's gravity, right? Then we have interest. So these few lines increase interest because I'm dismissing any common solutions or answers to this question. So, people obviously around boring thumbnails think, oh, well, because it's simple. It communicates the message simply. That's why it worked. But then I'm saying, hey, no, that's actually wrong. It's because of this new thing, right? And that's how we pique interest. Then we have desire. And basically in this line, we're piquing desire by telling them that our solution is going to help them achieve their desired outcomes. So in this example, it's increase your click-through rate and views on every single video you post. And then finally, we have delay. So this is simply where we just insert a but and say, hey, but just before I reveal how it works, I want to start by explaining. But then you would just explain another interesting concept to delay giving them the solution, which helps to boost retention. Recently, I've been playing around with a completely new framework that I've developed, and it's getting absolutely insane results. So far, it's produced 2 1 out of 10s for one of my clients' channels that had stagnated, and it also helped one of my new clients create their best performing video ever. So if you want to see me break down this new new framework, plus go so much deeper into the psychology behind writing great hooks, then click the link in my description and I'll explain how you can get access. Okay, so hopefully the first part of this video was super valuable, but I promise that the real power of this entire framework comes when we start to break down the body section. Now, your body section is going to be made up of the important topics that you found when you were doing your video content research. So you want to pick the 3 to 5 main points that had the most interest and that you can expand on, and then you want to lay them out in logical order. Here's an example of what this should look like. So this is the topic outline that I did for the exact video that you're watching right now. So basically, once I'd done all my audience research, done my content topic research, I come in here and I'd lay my topic points out in logical order. So I have research, then I talk about the script structure, hooks, rehooks, all the topic points I want to talk about, I lay them out. So once I've laid out all my topic points, what I then do is I go through and I dot point for each section. So, for the rehook, I'll write my dot points for the story, for the lesson, and I'll do this for each topic that I want to talk about. Again, this just gives me an overview, make sure everything connects and make sure that the script flows nicely. So once I have my topic points laid out, then I go on to writing each of my sections. And like I said before, I break these down into 3 separate parts, starting with the rehook. The rehook is what's going to increase your attention because basically it's designed to rehook your audience's attention as they're fatiguing through the video. So now let's go over a powerful formula on how I structure my rehooks that not only introduces my topic points, but also helps to boost retention. I call it the problem, desire, delay formula. The first step is we find a deep pain point. Step 2 is we agitate the pain point. And step 3, we delay its resolution. So let's say we're making a video on how men can lose belly fat, and then our first topic point for this video is educating them on calories in and calories out. Here's how I would write my rehook to build curiosity and desire to watch the entire section. The average person has zero idea how fat loss works, which leads to constant yo-yo dieting and the heartbreak of little to no progress. But how does the body actually release fat, and how can you use this knowledge to finally see results? Well, to understand this, I first have to explain. This line here, it basically calls out the pain point, which is fat loss. It also challenges their beliefs. So I'm basically saying, hey, the average person has zero idea how fat loss actually works, which is basically saying you don't have any idea how fat loss works. This is a great way to grab attention. Next, then we're agitating the pain point. I'm saying, which leads to constant yo-yo dieting and the heartbreak of little to no progress. So this brings up negative emotions around the pain point, reminds them how much the pain point sucks, which is all designed to make them eager for a solution. So basically what these 2 lines are doing is we're teasing a solution, which helps to build curiosity and desire around the solution. But then, as I've explained before, we delay the answer of the solution, which forces them to keep watching. So hopefully now you're starting to see a pattern of how I like to write hooks and, why learning the psychology behind the hooks was so valuable. But now let's run through one more quick example using this framework just to make sure everything is clear. Let's say we have a video about the 5 best ways to educate your children, and one of the topic points is finding a practical learning school. Here's how I would write the rehook using this formula. Modern ideologies have killed the education system, and it's causing skyrocketing cases of anxiety and depression in normal, healthy children. But luckily, there's a few types of schools left that haven't caved to the modern system. And in the next few minutes, I'll share exactly how you can find them in your local area. But first, how did schools end up like this in the first place? So here we're stating the problem. Let's just say that the target audience for this type of video would be parents that, don't like the way schools are teaching children these days. We're also confirming the audience's beliefs. So they already think that modern ideologies are ruining the education system. So this confirms their beliefs, and this is a great way to grab attention. Next, again, we're agitating. So now we're highlighting the consequences of the pain point, which is that it's causing skyrocketing cases of anxiety and depression in normal, healthy children. Major consequence around the pain point. This is going to really kind of stir up emotion. This is where we finally tease a solution to the problem we've just brought up, which is, hey, there are a few types of schools left that haven't caved to the modern system. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to share how you can find them in your local area. And then, like I shared before, we're going to delay the solution. So we're going to say, hey, but first, how did the schools end up like this in the first place? So instead of giving away the answer, we're going to use a story to delay the solution, to pull people through the video and help to maximize your attention, which actually leads me to the next part of the body section framework, which is the story. Stories are by far the best engagement tool on the planet. done it because number one, they connect to our emotions. Number two, they help hold our attention. And number three, they're great tools to delay information. By using stories, we boost retention by postponing the main point or lesson. This keeps the audience watching because they're waiting for the solution that we've teased in the ReHook. It's a simple yet genius way to maintain viewer interest throughout your video. But how do you actually write a great story? Well, there are a bunch of different storytelling structures like the hero's journey, the 5-act structure, or Freytag's pyramid. But to be honest, these are pretty complicated for beginners and can take some time to learn. So instead, let me give you 2 powerful frameworks I use to write simple but powerful stories in just a few minutes. So the first storytelling framework I want to explain is the But So storytelling framework. I learned this from the GOAT of YouTube Shorts, Jenny Horace. If you don't know who she is, absolute beast. She averages about 30 to 60 million views per YouTube short. And instead of me explaining it, I thought I'd just let her explain how it works.
But therefore, storytelling, simply put, is just lots of change in the story. So stories can't be stories without change. For example, I went on a walk, then it started raining, then I went back home. It was much more boring than if it was like, I went on a walk, but it started raining. Therefore, I started running back home, and it was raining all over me. But good thing I had a handy umbrella while I was on my way back. Therefore, I got home. Like, it's the exact same story, but it just sounds so much more intriguing when you have like, but, and then so. Or but therefore.
Basically what Jenny is saying is that you're using but to introduce conflict in the story, which makes it much more exciting and engaging. But I've found that just learning the but so storytelling structure isn't actually enough to learn how to write a complete story. So to make things even more simple, I also like to use something called the 3-act structure. Basically, the 3-act structure is broken down into 3 steps. You have the beginning, you have the challenge, and then you have the consequence. This just gives you a simple framework to make sure your but so story flows in a logical and interesting way. So let's jump back to the example I used before about the modern school system, and I'll show you a really simple example of how I would write a story using both these frameworks. So I'm just going to go back and read the ReHook plus the story I wrote, and then we'll break everything down. But luckily there's a few types of schools left that haven't caved to the modern system, and in the next few minutes I'll share exactly how you can find them in your local area. But first, how did the schools end up like this in the first place? Well, it all started in the early 1980s. Back then, schools focused on the fundamentals of education that produced intelligent, independent students that were ready for the real world when they graduated. Every student was taught biology, chemistry, maths, and physics, which gave students a well-rounded view of the world. But in recent times, schools have started to strip back teaching these fundamentals and focus on more unproductive classes like photography. So now students are missing out on the skills that develop critical thinking and problem-solving abilities, which has naturally led them to be more anxious and less prepared for the real world. So basically, this part of the story, which is the beginning, is designed to take people back to the start, giving them context. So we want to paint a picture of what things were like before we get to the challenge. And then this section, this is when we introduce the challenge, which in this case is that schools have stopped teaching the fundamentals of education. This adds conflict to the story and makes it much more exciting and engaging. Then finally, we reveal the consequences of the challenge, which answers the question of how did schools end up like this in the first place that we had in the ReHook. And it also positions us perfectly to finally introduce our solution or answer to the problem we introduced, which leads me to part 6 of this course, which is the lesson. This part of the section is the climax where we finally reveal the valuable lesson we've been building up to. This can come in the form of some sort of actionable strategy or a moral lesson. For example, in the example I just talked about with the school, basically what I'd do for the lesson is I would break down step by step how they can find a school that teaches the fundamentals of education, which ultimately solves the problem that we created in the ReHook and the solution that we teased and leaves the audience feeling satisfied. But other than that, I don't really follow a particular formula for the lesson, but there are a few important things that I do want to mention so that your audience leaves each section without feeling ripped off. So number 1 is that in your ReHook, you're building up desire to know the answer to something. So make sure that in your lesson, you actually give it away, because you don't want your audience to feel cheated by building up all this tension to know the answer to some sort of solution, but then you just don't give it to them. This is going to piss them off and they're probably not going to like you very much. Also, make sure that if you say that it's going to be the best thing since sliced bread, that the solution that you provide in the lesson actually is the best thing since sliced bread. Otherwise, you risk annoying the hell out of your audience and damaging your reputation. And lastly, if you're giving people direct actions that they can take, like some sort of step-by-step solution or whatever, make sure that you break it down in a simple and easy to understand way. Otherwise, you're going to leave your audience confused, overwhelmed, and they're probably not going to leave your video feeling inspired. So we just covered a whole bunch of stuff and your brain is probably going crazy. So now let's put this all together and take a look at a real example of how I write my body sections. So let's just use the school example that I covered up above and go through exactly what it looks like to write one of the body sections of my script. So obviously you would normally have the intro and hook here. Then we'd have a bridging sentence which kind of connects the rehook. But basically what I'm doing is I go from the rehook, then to the story, then to the lesson, and then I have a bridging sentence which connects my next rehook, which goes into the story and the lesson, and I repeat this for each section topic, right? So that's basically it. So it goes intro and hook, into your rehook, into your story, into your lesson, and then a bridging sentence, which then goes into your next rehook, story, lesson, and then that formula just repeats, and it is absolutely magic to maximize your retention. So that completes the 3-part formula that I use to maximize the retention of my videos. But there is one last technique I use to help my clients increase their average view duration and get hundreds of thousands of extra views that would have otherwise been lost. And that's by using something called a binge loop. A binge loop is another 3-step formula designed to rehook the viewer and make them watch your next video. It goes in the last 15 to 30 seconds of your video, and it's an extremely effective technique that can add thousands or even millions of more views to your channel. And just to be transparent, this is actually an adaptation of George Blackman's CTA formula. I believe in giving credit where credit is due. George is a great scriptwriter, so go check him out on Twitter. But now let's break down how it works. So the first step is to link back to the script. The second step is to introduce a new problem, and the third step is to promise it in the next video. So let's watch a live example for one of my favorite YouTubers, Film Booth, and then break down each part.
And what I love about these two legends is they are proof that becoming a YouTuber isn't about being a natural showman, but developing the skills to become one. But that takes time. And even when you've mastered your communication skills, they alone won't grow your channel. Just like Aaron, you have to start to think outside of the box. But how do you do that though? Well, it starts by clicking this video, because next you want to combine these silent retention hacks with some viral storytelling techniques that another amazing YouTuber uses, and that's going to take what you've just learned and make it 10 times more powerful.
So as you can see, if we take a look at this sentence in blue, basically what this sentence is doing is it's naturally tying back to the original video. And what this does is it creates a natural link between the video and the binge loop. This stops the viewer thinking that the video is about to end, and actually is a really great way to help prevent drop off right at the end of the video. Because if your link is too obvious and it doesn't relate back to the original content, then it's going to sound unnatural and people are going to either think, oh, the video is ending, or it's just going to sound weird. Then we come to this red part, which is the most critical part of the binge loop. This is where we're going to introduce the problem, which hopefully by now you understand why that's so important. Basically introducing the problem, it rehooks the viewer and makes them eager for the solution. Then finally in the green part, this is where we tease the solution to the problem that we've just created, and Film Booth promises to reveal it in the next video. So the binge loop is an extremely potent technique that's designed to pull your viewers into your next video so that it keeps them on your channel and helps to boost your average view duration. Now, binge loops are a great way to keep people on your channel, but in order for them to work, you have to get your audience to watch your entire video. That's why I highly recommend that you check out my new hook writing framework, where you're going to learn how to write hooks that grab attention in that first critical 30 seconds and retain your audience's attention for the entire video. So again, if you're interested, the link is in my description. See what I did there?